Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to a really fascinating webinar we're going to have with Dick's Sporting Goods. Now, many of you may know about this retailer, major retailer. It's on the New York Stock Exchange. The CEO of the company actually is the son of the founder, which is kind of fascinating. And we have with us today to talk about MBA careers, Mallory Zikeli, who is, or is it Zikeli?
It's Zikeli, but you were very close.
Zikeli. All right, that E becomes an A or something.
That's right.
Okay, and Mallory is the MBA program manager at Dick's Sporting Goods, which we can refer to as DSG. As I see in your annual report, you refer to the company that way. And then we have John Martell, who's an MIT Sloan MBA and Senior Manager of eCommerce Goods. So tell us a little bit about, what are you looking for in MBA interns and hires? And I know you're hiring about 8 MBAs a year now, which is terrific. And actually, give us the context of that. Now, why is the company recruiting MBA talent now?
Yeah, so this program has been in place for about 6 years now. Really was the brainchild of our former president and CEO, Ed Stack, right? As he kind of thought about the future of Dick's Sporting Goods, he wanted to hire really bright talent in the organization. And obviously, MBA talent is just that. And so he kind of started this program that started with a small internship class and developed into what is now a summer internship and an executive development program, which is our 2-year rotational program. The point of both of those programs is to provide some foundational retail knowledge, the opportunity for career exploration, a lot of executive exposure, which comes from, presenting your project to that group, weekly Q&As with our executives, a lot of doors open as part of the MBA internship and EDP program. And, with that said, right, with all of the exclusivity of this particular program, we still are really looking for folks that are kind of humble and hungry and willing to do the work that it takes to make an impact on our business. So I think one of the things that's unique about Dick's Sporting Goods is it may sound cliche at this point. I think I hear it often, but low ego, high impact is kind of definitely how we would describe ourselves. And I think the folks that have been through the program, like John, would probably agree. We definitely have kind of access within this program to C-suite mentorship and networking opportunities and doing really cool things in Pittsburgh. But we want to hire folks that, again, are going to get down and do the dirty work of managing projects and building consensus among multiple business functions, and are really focused on our athletes. So besides having, 3 to 5 years of professional experience and being a strategic thinker, the ability to communicate and work well with others is a large part of what we look for in our MBAs.
That's great. This is a chance to really roll up your sleeves and get stuff done.
Yes.
And have access to senior leadership, which very few MBAs get to do right out of school. Now, John, tell me a little bit about your history, how you came to join the company, and exactly what you do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I had come from kind of a more traditional finance background, decided that I wanted to go back to school, specifically at Sloan, due to the sports analytics conference there that they host annually. Was a great opportunity to kind of network across the sports industry. It's actually where I hooked up with the former head of recruiting for this program. Really just started to have really good conversations in my journey. Everything, I was really continually blown away by the people that I met, the types of questions that they asked. And so, I really thought it was a really solid opportunity. And as Mallory kind of alluded to, it was a very exclusive program and still is. We started with only 4 people and kind of had a very diverse set of backgrounds in terms of experience. Spent some time kind of going around the business, getting exposure to things like the real estate side, the store operations side, and a long concentration on the strategic side. But ultimately, I knew I wanted to be in e-commerce. That was an area of the business that really excited me. It was a little bit more of an afterthought of the business when I first started. obviously, if you've looked at our earnings report, it's been, a tremendous boon to our business. And now I currently manage the ship to home program within the fulfillment side of e-com. So basically anything that happens after you click the purchase button, that is on my side of the house. So if your package is late, I apologize in advance.
Blame the postal service or whoever the delivery services. And John, when did you join the company?
So I was part of the initial cohort in 2017 of 2017. The four of us. And so, yeah, I've been with the company for going on 4 years. And it's been a really positive experience overall. And, all of the things that Mallory alluded to are completely true. My executive mentor is the CFO of our company, Lee Belitsky. He's an amazing man to have as a mentor figure. I can connect with him on virtually anything. And, the level of access that the executive development program and the internship offer is really unparalleled in my estimation.
So Mallory, talk a little bit about the executive development rotation program. What does one experience in it?
Yeah, so the executive development program is pretty unique, right? The goal through these 2 years is to provide kind of the skills and experiences and competencies that one would need to be a successful leader like John, and really in any part of our organization. So John knew he was interested in e-commerce, but we have a lot of people that come through the program who don't, right, or don't have a retail experience. So we want to provide them that retail toolkit. So we put them through 3 rotations through stores and store operations. So that includes actually working in a store. We find that a lot of our MBA folks haven't had customer facing or service experience. And obviously we feel really strongly that that's kind of a critical part of our business. So stores are a part of that. They then do kind of a store operational focused program. The second rotation, and again, order of operations doesn't really matter here, but one of the other rotations is merchandising. And when you think about money makers besides stores, right, our merchant group is one of our largest money makers. They are making the decisions about what products and the assortment and where those products are going and when we put them on sale. And so they pull a lot of the levers that impact our business. And so we would want any leader to really understand stores and merchandising. And the last rotation is within our strategy team. So again, strategy kind of the backbone of the entire program. That's really the opportunity to work on a variety of different projects at any time, to network with a large part of the organization, work cross-functionally. And through those rotations, that's really where you get exposure and someone says, hey, I really like what John is doing. I like the way John works and I want him to come be a part of our team. So that's one of the ways that this program kind of opens doors for people.
Do you spend an equal amount of time in each one of the 3 rotations?
Great question. Merchandising is actually the longest rotation because we really want you to see the cycle of whatever category or product you're working with.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I was recently in a Dick's store in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I have to say I was super impressed with the range of merchandise, but also, just the layout of the store and how well organized and thoughtful it was. It was clear that there's a lot of strategy behind where you put stuff and what you put in your space, which tends to be really big retail outlets.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, part of what we're working on is not only the layouts of our stores, but figuring out ways to entice people to come into our buildings, right? These days, that's a large part of it. But I will say, if you were to ask Ed Stack how many stores we had, he would say how many cell phones are in the United States, because as John knows, everybody has a store in their pocket. And
I think you actually have over 600 bricks and mortar stores incidentally.
Yes,
based
absolutely.
on your report, which I read last night. So John, what was the most interesting thing that happened to you during the rotation program? Do you remember one learning or one experience that really, made you say, man, I'm so glad I joined this company?
I would have to say it was actually one of the first experiences that I had when I was, fresh out of kind of my MBA and trying to understand, this new concept of retail, which I had never really, been on the other side of it. It's one thing of what you think of it as a shopper, but it's a whole different beast on the other side. unfortunately. But one of the things that we were working on was kind of modeling out the value of our brick and mortar stores. So it was one of my first projects, and I really got to get deep into the data. And that's an area that I think was really exciting. It ended up kind of challenging and changing some of the ways that we fundamentally thought about where we were putting stores, how we measured store operations, and really contributed a lot of value in terms of, we are continuing to build brick and mortar stores. We're one of the, probably few retailers that can say that. We've, opened a lot of our warehouse concept stores. We've recently announced a new outdoor chain called Public Lands. So, the utilization of our space and our footprint across the country is really important to us. So it was really valuable for me to play a pretty significant role in determining how we kind of evaluate where we're going to put a store, what type of products we're going to put in there, all of those types of factors.
Right. That's really a cool project for sure. Now, Mallory, how do you choose the internship projects for the students that you recruit and bring into the company as interns? Is there a process for that?
Yeah, that's actually one of the most common questions I receive from intern candidates. And, I think that's one of the ways that we're very lucky to have our executives involved in these programs, because kind of the ideation stage starts with them, right? We work directly with their chiefs of staff and hear about what our executives are thinking of, right? We want our projects, number one, to be important to the people who make decisions. We want them to be very fresh on the minds of our senior leaders. And, anytime we can, we want it to be something that our intern is interested in, passionate about, or maybe they've recognized a gap in their experience that they're looking to fill. So I think one of the things we do really well is customizing those projects to the folks that are joining our class. So our executives kind of come up with the projects. We poll our interns and we ask them what they're interested in. And we also ask them, what are you not interested in? So we'll say, what's a project you definitely don't want to work on? I'm not going to share you what the most common answer is, but there's one that comes up very often. And so then we're able to, with this really diverse class of interns, work on a wide variety of projects, and all of them being things that, the most senior leaders in our company are actually interested in.
So if you were interested, for example, in like project management or finance for that matter, that's a possibility, right?
Yeah, my typical answer is we cannot guarantee that you're going to work on project management if you tell us that's what you're interested in.
Sure.
But if you're interested in project management, I can guarantee we can get you exposure to that part of our business and to help you continue to explore that, even if it's not the foundation of your project.
And you're hiring, you're making full-time offers to your interns, right?
Correct, yes. So our goal is to hire the best of our intern class into the executive development program. We do some active recruiting outside of our intern class for that, but certainly we want folks that have that internship experience with us when we can.
So in terms of your internship crop, how many people do you bring in for interns?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 2/3 of our intern class. Naturally, the EDP class is smaller than our intern class, right? Because we can't necessarily have 6 to 8 new leaders every single year coming out of that program, or else we'd be just growing too top heavy. But we do try to keep the best and brightest of them. We feel very strongly that we hire really great interns, and we give them an experience that makes it hard for them to say no to us. Right,
great. John, if you had to describe the culture of the company, what does it actually feel like to work there?
I would say, it's very sports driven. And I mean that in kind of a variety of frames of reference. One, you have people that are very passionate about what they do. It's a cool company in that way that, you're ultimately serving pretty much kids for the most part, obviously not our only demographic, but, you're really helping to influence decisions really at the youth sport level and turn them into, lifelong fans of sport and exercise and all of these outdoor activities. So I think that aspect is really rewarding. Beyond that, I would say it's a very highly collaborative environment, as Mallory kind of alluded to in some of her answers. People really work well together. It's a one team, kind of one dream approach in terms of, how we get things done from a day-to-day perspective. And, I would say it's a pretty fun culture outside of that. Obviously things have changed a little bit as a result of the pandemic. But, we still make a lot of time to do events as, especially as an EDP and as an intern class, but even broader to the organization. I mean, one of the things that I miss the most, that's kind of been a consequence of the pandemic has been, we had a weekly basketball game that we played across the entire organization. We had a group of guys that would go down and play in the gym every Tuesday and Wednesday, which includes my current boss. And that was how I first actually got to know him and met him. So it's definitely a unique way of kind of fostering that, cross-functional relationship you might otherwise not get at some other companies.
Right. I can only imagine competing against your boss in a sporting event. That could be fun.
It's always fun. I let him hear about it. It's the one time that I can let him hear about it.
And Mallory, an important issue for a lot of incoming and current MBA students is the issue of diversity and inclusion. Where does the company stand on that issue?
Yeah, we have made, some very public statements in regards to social justice, but internally, we have kind of 5 pillars when it comes to our I&D program, and we purposefully put inclusion first because we think it's so important that we're including all of our athletes and teammates in these conversations, right? So first, it's about education, which is really training all of our teammates down to a store associate, a store leader, to have these tough conversations with their teams, to all of us. In fact, on the 15th, we had the Day of Understanding, and we had trainings around pronouns and performative allyship. And we had all of these really interesting topics that our teams could opt into. Besides education, it's about hiring and developing and retaining diverse groups of people. So being a place that a diverse team would want to work at, right? How do we make sure that everyone is included and part of, building the legacy of Dick's Sporting Goods? It's also about making sure we're carrying the right products for our athletes. So I&D includes making sure that our products are inclusive, that we're thinking about female athletes differently. We're not just pinking and shrinking, right? We're really focusing on what female athletes are looking for. Civic action is an arm as well, focusing on using our voice and advocating for certain policies. And then really using our analytics and our insights to help drive decisions going forward. So not only hosting, tough conversations at stores and getting all of our teammates involved, but using the data we have to make sure that we're moving the needle in the right direction. We have an I&D council that was founded in 2019, which is groups of associates at all levels that kind of help drive things forward. And so we lean really heavily on that group to help us lead the way.
Great. What about international students? Are these opportunities open to them as well?
John and I were just having this conversation before this started. We typically have not hired international students. Here's what I'll say. We've offered international students. We are certainly open to it. I think we have an opportunity to do a better job when it comes to hiring international students into the program. What I would say is I was hired to help expand and develop this program. And it's important to me that that includes diverse and international students. So we are certainly open to it and expanding the opportunities there.
Terrific. So I wonder if, what impact has COVID had on the community and your organization and industry? I'm thinking that, a key competitive advantage that you have is in this day of e-commerce, which John is obviously in, a lot of people like to go and touch and feel something, right? Like I'd like to sit in the kayak before I buy it. I'd like to get on a bike before I actually purchase it. I'd like to see the camping equipment or put on a pair of, jogging shoes before I buy them. And I think that that's an important part of the element of the company's success. And, you know, you look at the stock price and wow, you've done amazingly well in the market. So I'm wondering, you know, what impact has COVID had on your brick and mortar stores?
I can take that one. So, I mean, from my perspective, obviously, you know, business has been quite strong. I mean, I think one of the things that Dick's does that's pretty unique that maybe other people outside of the industry aren't as familiar with is we really use our stores for both brick and mortar and e-commerce purposes. You know, even at kind of the beginning of COVID, when we had our stores actually closed, we still had the capacity to, obviously operating under safe guidelines, you know, fill orders from both a BOPIS perspective, you know, buy online, pick up in store, as well as a ship from store perspective. And, you know, I would say our stores are one of the most critical areas of our distribution network of getting product to athletes. So that's a big part of it. And then I think, you know, to your point, John, I think there are challenges with a lot of these products being touch and feel. So we've tried to make, you know, it as safe as possible to come within the store, you know, get the ability to try things out and have developed, you know, policies and procedures to make people feel comfortable with that decision. Because ultimately, you know, one of the things that people want to do out of the pandemic, and, you know, we've seen repeatedly from a business perspective, is they still want to, you know, get out and work out and be healthy. Because, you know, when you're spending a lot more of your time within the four walls of your house or apartment, you know, one of those things you want to do is really kind of demonstrate some self-care in that way, to be able to really get out and do things. And so, you know, from a business perspective, it's definitely been a significant rise in particularly the exercise, outdoor rec type of categories. Yeah. But, you know, I think we were able to make that pivot so successfully, largely on the backbone of our stores, from kind of that e-commerce bridge perspective that I talked about.
And I know that in this area, outdoor sports, there's been supply issues among some companies for bikes, for kayaks, for other exercise equipment, in particular because of COVID, which has really been interesting. I mean, when I bought a couple of kayaks more recently, it was like a 6-month wait to even get them. So on one level, that shows that the demand is there and it's high, but sometimes it's hard in the supply chain, given the resource constraints to actually supply the demand, meet the demand. Exactly.
Yeah, and I would say there, John, like our merchants have done an impeccable job of kind of solutioning things there, you know, developing tailored arrangements with the individual vendors out there to, you know, secure product and to try and get it into the hands of customers at the end of the day. You know, I think one of the things that we've been pretty aggressive in doing as well is, you know, sourcing from a few alternate suppliers to get, you know, things that are of particularly high demand, dumbbells, you know, treadmills, those types of things, all the outdoor rec type of products. So that's an area where the merchant leadership has been exceptionally strong in terms of kind of getting us to where we are from a business results perspective today.
Right. Now, Mallory, is there a campus recruiting process for the internship, or how do people go about applying?
Yeah, so feel free to reach out to me directly. We also have the internship posted online on our website, so you can find it there. The process really is kicked off by a conversation with me, so I can understand kind of what you're looking for. We really do try to have enough touch points with our candidates and make things very personal. So along with, you know, a couple of interviews with some of our hiring managers, it also include somebody who's been through the program, like John, who, especially if you're coming from Sloan, John's going to be one of the people we'll reach out to get you connected to, so you can kind of hear about someone's experience who's been through the program. And as I mentioned earlier, our goal is to make it hard for folks to say no to us. So when we feel strongly that you're a good fit for us, we're going to do all that we can to get you to join. So, you know, I think it's kind of a candidate's market. You tell us what you want, and we're going to do our best to, within our abilities, kind of meet your needs and make sure you're a good fit for us at the same time.
Terrific. John, can you transport yourself back to when you were an incoming MBA student at MIT Sloan? and think about the one thing that you wish you knew that you didn't know when you entered the program that you might share with all these folks out there who are about to pack their bags and go to campus for this 2-year MBA experience?
I would just say, use the MBA experience as a true learning experience. Expose yourself to things that you're uncomfortable from, like a learning perspective. Make sure that you're getting kind of a broad-based set of skills. I think would be my number one piece of advice. And, it's not always the sexiest topic by any means, but I think, getting some base familiarity with how to use data to make decisions is something that really served me well in coming to DSG, that I didn't maybe know how beneficial it would be to my broader career.
Mallory, your advice?
Well, as a recruiter, I think my advice is usually something very cheesy, like be yourself, right? Like we really do want to know who you are and what you're interested in. I don't want stock answers. I don't want you to tell me what you think I want to hear. I really want to understand why it would make sense for you to come work at Dick's Sporting Goods.
And here's a good question. What's your deadline for your internship application?
Great question. We are interviewing now. We have only a few spots left for this summer. So if someone is a first year, let me know. For 2022, for all of you pre-MBA folks, we've got lots of time. We are just kicking things off. We're really excited. We want you to have the opportunity to explore as part of your MBA program. So we want to take that into consideration as well. So if you're interested, certainly let us know and we will follow up with you and kind of get things going.
And if you're interested, I would just suggest, man, go to the local store and wander around and talk to some folks on the floor and get a feel for what the company is all about. Go to its website, check out the eCommerce section. And, that's an important piece of the puzzle too, researching a company and knowing exactly what it does, how it makes money, and what it would likely be like to work in that environment. And a lot of people are really super interested in sports, of course, and outdoor exercise. And I bet you get people who are like totally passionate about that to work for you. And they're willing to convey that passion to others.
We have an Olympic gold medalist joining us this summer, which
Wow.
My boss saw her medal during the interview process, and that's all he would talk about for like 2 weeks. So we have a lot of people that are interested in sports. Some are good athletes, some not so much, but we're very excited. Yes.
That's fantastic. Mallory and John, a pleasure to meet you. I'm going to remind everyone that Dick's Sporting Goods will have a great session in our pre-MBA networking festival. So be sure to sign up for them and check them out. You'll get a lot more information at that session. Meantime, stay safe and healthy. It's a pleasure.